The baby's cries pierced the airplane cabin like a blade, cutting through the murmurs of passengers. Some stared in annoyance, others offered sympathetic glances. Whispers floated through the air. Where is his mother? Vincent Mauritius, an Asian drug lord who ruled with fear and commanded power, sat rigidly in his seat. Loved no one, trusted no one. But here he was, thousands of feet above the ground, watching his 2-month-old son scream. Each cry made his chest tighten. Each tear reminded him that even the smallest vulnerability could destroy everything. 3 rows away, Olivia shifted in her seat. The baby's wails tugged at her grief. She was a nursing mother and pediatrician who had lost her own baby 4 months ago. Her body still betrayed her, producing milk, refusing to accept reality. She tried to control herself, but instinct won over grief. Her eyes kept darting toward the child. Before she knew it, she found herself on her feet before she fully understood how. Every step toward Vincent felt instinctual, driven by the 2-month-old's desperate need and her own unhealed maternal instincts. Can I carry him?" she asked softly. Vincent's gaze was sharp, cold, warning her to stop. In the Mafia world, trust is a liability, a weakness that gets men buried in shallow graves. Power isn't inherited here. It's taken, defended, paid for with blood. He didn't rise to the top by believing people. Friends betrayed him. Families sold him out. Men who swore loyalty whispered his name to enemies. By the time he became the boss, he had learned one rule that kept him alive. Never trust anyone enough to bleed for them. He enforced loyalty with fear, respect with silence, obedience with consequences. No one survived long enough to talk about it. In his world, people weren't trusted. They were tested, and most of them failed. He couldn't trust a stranger with his child. What if it's his opponent's scheme to get him? Million thoughts ran through his mind. She swallowed, choking slightly. Not from fear, but from the sheer presence of a man who could intimidate a room with a glance. "My name is Olivia," she said, steadying herself. "I'm a pediatrician and I was a mother. My son, he passed a few weeks ago. She paused, steadying her shaking hands. "I can feed him. I can help him calm down." Vincent's lips pressed into a hard line. He shook his head. No stranger would ever touch his son. But the cry persisted, relentless and raw. His bodyguard, standing silently nearby, observed Olivia's calm determination, the sincerity in her eyes. It was not fear, not curiosity, not greed. It was pure intent. Finally, Vincent nodded.
"Fine."
But the restroom.
"Now."
They moved quickly down the aisle. Olivia gently took the baby in her arms. Vincent followed, tension coiled tight in his shoulders. In the cramped airplane restroom, she carefully positioned the baby, letting him latch. He paused at first, then began to suckle, calming gradually. Olivia's touch was tender but professional, a blend of care and instinct. Vincent stayed just outside, hands gripping the doorframe. He did not speak. He did not breathe too loudly. He simply watched. Each minute she spent with his child stripped layers off his armor. He had ruled kingdoms, crushed enemies, survived betrayals. But this was new. Watching her nurture his son, protect him, feed him, he felt a vulnerability he had never known. Olivia's hands were steady, gentle, but there was a tremor in her chest that betrayed her grief. 4 months of loss had left her hollow, and yet, in that moment, she gave everything she had to a child that wasn't hers. Her body was betraying her grief in its own way, milk still flowing, instinct still alive, reminding her of what she had lost. And yet she didn't flinch. She refused to think about the past.
There was only this child now.
"Sir," she murmured softly, glancing at the door where Vincent loomed.
"He's calm.
He'll sleep soon." Vincent didn't move. His lips pressed into a thin line. He didn't want to feel this, to be grateful, to trust. But the relief in the baby's face, the gradual slackening of the tiny fists, and the way Olivia handled him with such quiet authority, it was undeniable. When the baby finally drifted into sleep, Olivia carefully unlatched him, holding him close. Vincent's hand twitched, wanting to reach out, but he didn't.
He couldn't.
Not yet. I thank you, he muttered finally, rough and unpracticed. The words didn't come easily from a man like him. Olivia's eyes flickered to his. No thanks needed. He's just a baby. Babies need care. Nothing else matters right now. The plane touched down, and the world outside returned. Bright, loud, chaotic. Vincent lifted his son, cradling him carefully. Every instinct screamed at him to guard, to control. Every instinct also screamed at him to never let Olivia out of reach. But reality hit immediately. His empire's rules weren't written on paper, they were carved in blood. And the rule about the mother figure was absolute. Whoever breastfed a baby in the family became the mother, became the wife. Olivia didn't know this. She didn't care. She only knew she would never allow herself to belong to a man like Vincent. She had lost enough. She had survived the worst grief imaginable. She would not lose herself again in a world she had no part of. Yet, the moment she stepped off the plane, the baby's cries began anew, only for her to calm him. Guards, nannies, anyone else, nothing worked. Only her. Vincent's eyes darkened, storm clouds gathering over his face. He had spent decades shaping the world around him, enforcing control with fear and precision. And yet, here he was, powerless in the face of a stranger, a grieving woman, and his own child's attachment. The baby's cries were a knife cutting into his pride, into his authority, into the very core of his being. I told you, he won't calm down for anyone else, one of his bodyguards muttered. Vincent's voice was low, dangerous. Then she stays. That's the rule. She stays. Olivia's head snapped up. I won't stay. I won't belong here. I never wanted this life, this family, this empire. Vincent stepped closer, calm but deadly. You don't have a choice. Conflict burned between them, hotter than any gunpowder. Olivia's heart raced, torn between grief, instinct, and fear of the man towering over her. Vincent's chest tightened, heart thrumming with unfamiliar emotion. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as if the child's attachment to her had pierced his armor straight to his soul. Days passed, and the tension never eased. Every night, the baby's cries tore through the mansion. Every night, Olivia alone could soothe him. Every glance, every touch, every small act became a silent battlefield of wills. She refused the title, refused the power, refused him. He demanded respect, obedience, compliance, but never her love. And yet, he could not ignore the bond forming before his very eyes. One night, the Empire was attacked. Shadows moved through the mansion. Gunfire erupted. Fires ignited. Guards fell. Chaos consumed the night. Olivia, without hesitation, scooped the baby into her arms, moving through smoke and debris with precision only a mother, or someone who had been a mother, could. Vincent followed, moving like a predator through the darkness, but powerless to calm the fear in his chest. His child slept peacefully against her, oblivious to danger. He realized power could not protect everything. Only trust, only someone with pure intent could. That night, Vincent realized that fear and control were not enough. Power could not protect him from the vulnerability that came with love. She had risked everything. Not for him, not for Empire, but for his child. And in that moment, he understood. He had no choice but to trust her. After the attack, the mansion lay in partial ruin. Smoke curled through broken windows. But the baby was safe. Olivia held him, exhausted, her grief momentarily forgotten. Vincent stood silently, staring at her. You could have left, he said, voice low and rough. I couldn't, she whispered. He's my responsibility now, and maybe I wanted to protect him. For the first time, Vincent laughed, not with cruelty, but with disbelief and relief. She had challenged him, defied him, yet saved his child in ways he could not repay. His walls, built of blood and fear, began to crumble. Days became weeks. The baby laughed for the first time in Olivia's arms. Vincent watched quietly, replacing dominance. She stayed, not because she had to, but because a part of her chose him. They never spoke of titles, empires, or rules of blood. They only shared quiet, raw, intimate moments, the stolen glances, the whispered apologies, the small victories over fear. Even in a world built on fear, violence, and power, something improbable had taken root. Trust, love, and family forged through chaos. Vincent, the ruthless mafia boss, finally understood. Sometimes the strongest move a man can make is letting go. The baby slept peacefully between them, unaware that he had reshaped their world forever.